Your Grace, Bishop Thomas, Reverend clergy, esteemed judges, brothers and sisters in Christ. The baby had been crying for an hour. 1 hour. And somehow I have remained sane. Mostly. I've been babysitting for a long time and I'm used to crying. But even though I've lost count of the number of times I've soothed a crying child, the crying still upsets me. Bearing it patiently, which should be easy, is still a trial for me. As she finally drifted off to sleep, my first thought was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13. And my second thought was, a beginning to my oratorical. Reflecting on this babysitting experience later, I was shocked how this tiny, seemingly insignificant moment of forbearance had been so difficult for me. And I realized that God is in the little things. As Christians, it is far too easy to believe that Philippians 4:13 doesn't address everyday difficulties and tasks. We often think that small things like babysitting with patience, cleaning the house, giving someone your full attention, and smiling at someone who seems sad are unimportant. Moments like these aren't glamorous or heroic, and they aren't memorable, but they are what make up our lives. St. Isaac of Syria said, "It is impossible to surmount the great if one does not conquer the insignificant." Too often we wait for opportunities to be seen doing something kind or being patient and persevering. But God sees everything we do and remembers every forgotten kindness we bestow. It is easy to fall into rating our accomplishments. We think of life as being made up of important and unimportant moments. But to God, all of our struggles and accomplishments are equal. Everything we do that strives to glorify Him is an accomplishment. If we wait to impress God by doing something big, then we will miss all the little opportunities to spread Christian love, and we will become vain. By taking every opportunity to spread Christian love and doing small acts of love, we can grow in humility as well as in charity. It always surprises me how a kind action can bring so much joy. Several years ago, while riding in my parents' car, I was looking out the window at cars passing by. I started to stare at a small green car close to us, and when I did, the man inside gave me the friendliest smile and salute as if we were best friends. Years later, I still remember this tiny moment of completely forgettable kindness. I have no doubt the man has forgotten it, but I don't think I ever will. Charity is in every smile we give and every prayer we send up. Evangelism is one of the greatest responsibilities of a Christian. But we don't have to go to people's doors or shout up and down the streets to send God's message. We can show them rather than telling them. Committing little, seemingly insignificant acts of love makes a bigger impression on another person than preaching to him. In his gospel, St. Luke records the Lord saying, "If you are not able to do the least, why are you anxious for the rest?" Luke 12:26. A few months ago, I heard a mother in my parish tell her children, "If you don't want to do this, give it as a present to Jesus." After a few days of thinking about what she had said, I realized how it was the very embodiment of Philippians 4:13. I often do good things because it gives me a nice feeling inside. But I don't often do good things that make me feel uncomfortable. I don't sit down with visitors at our church during coffee hour. I forget to pray for people I'm mad at. I don't clean our house very often, even though I know I should. I avoid all these little things because they're unpleasant. But the truth is, if every time I gave something I didn't want to do to Jesus, I would be much happier. Doing little things prepares you for big things. Abba Isaiah of Sketis said that he who conquers himself in the little things will do also in the great ones. It is true that God doesn't rate our accomplishments and struggles, yet no one would argue with me that smiling at someone is less difficult than forgiving someone who has wounded you. They are equally important, but they are not equally difficult. So what gives us the strength to perform the big, difficult tasks? The little things do. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And if I can do all things, then I can babysit with patience and smile at strangers. And as I succeed in these little trials, I grow used to giving unpleasant good works as a present to God. And when I grow used to this, I'm ready to tackle the big things. worked miracles that included bringing people back to life and turning water into wine. These monumental miracles often obscure the little miracles that he did. He dined with a tax collector and washed the feet of his disciples. He spoke to a Samaritan woman. He made reference again and again to the importance of the little mustard seed and commanded his disciples to care for the least of these, my brethren. These small miracles and references don't seem very important when compared to raising the dead or healing someone, but Jesus was healing the tax collector. He was healing the Samaritan woman. The tax collector didn't need to be physically healed. He needed spiritual healing. Jesus didn't blind him as he did with St. Paul. He didn't chastise him or shame him. He broke bread with him. This little act was exactly what the tax collector needed and exactly what he didn't expect. Jesus paid attention to each person and healed him in the way he needed to be healed. St. Moses of Optina said, "If you show compassion to one who is suffering, and of course this is not a great deed, you will be numbered among the martyrs." Let me repeat that. If you show compassion to one who is suffering, and of course this is not a great deed, you will be numbered among the martyrs. This is a shocking idea. We know that love is crucial to the faith, but how do we show our love? I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to say. Time and again, the surest way of expressing love is by paying attention to the details. We've all seen those ads that come around every year, tempting us to show them that you care today by purchasing them fill in the blank. These ads suggest that if you don't shower your loved ones with gifts and grand gestures, your family and friends might forget that you love them. Ironically, people who take time to get to know others by listening to them and remembering their interests don't need to make grand gestures to remind their friends that they care about them. They show their love by caring, listening, and comforting. And the amazing thing about paying attention to little things is that after a while, we enjoy them. At first, cleaning the house is a chore, but if you do it enough, it becomes a blessing. Smiling at someone makes you smile. Miracles happen because of little things. The example that jumped to mind as I was writing this speech was this speech. At first, I was terrified to participate in this oratorical process. I wasn't motivated to write anything. I doubted myself and my ability to communicate my thoughts with you. But when I found my thesis, I was excited to share it with you. I couldn't help but think of all the compassionate souls, those everyday saints in my own life, in my parish, in my neighborhood, in my family, in this room right now, who inspire me simply by listening to me. By considering others better than themselves, by performing thankless, often forgettable, and even unpleasant tasks with dignity and joy. As Matthew 25 suggests, these are the souls who will one day hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things." Matthew 25:21. Our verse today, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," comes from near the end of St. Paul's letter to the Philippians. Earlier in this letter, he exhorts the Philippians to fill his joy by being like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. "Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself." Philippians 2:2-4. In other words, take every opportunity to consider the little things that bring joy and healing. The notes, the prayer, the hug. Remember St. Moses of Optina. If you show compassion to one who is suffering, and of course, this is not a great deed, you will be numbered among the martyrs.